Hello, we're the book doctors. Hello.
I'm not a book doctor.
No. We're talking to Brad Parks, who just told us that he does have all his own teeth. And I think that's important as a writer. I mean, not that you can't be missing teeth, but...
It's not necessary to the writing process.
Totally
I've never tried to type with my teeth. But it's good to know I could.
You could.
If I wanted to.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about journalism, and you were a journalist first. I always tell people, when they're young and out of school, that's a great way to learn how to be a writer, because you've got to pump out the words in a small space.
Yeah. On a deadline, often.
On a deadline. So can you talk about how that helped you become
how did it not
amazing...
help me? Well, I mean, so for starters, I was a sports writer starting out. And in modern day sports, everybody knows the score already. Like, they've seen the stats. And so, like, you're going to the ballpark every day, and it's like, find a story, tell a story. Find a story, tell a story. And that's just like, that's a great muscle. And then there is, like, the discipline of, you don't say, I don't feel like making deadlines today. I'm not.
News hasn't struck me.
I'm not inspired. Like I'll always remember. So we were just talking off camera. Not that they would know about my young days as a reporter with the Star Ledger. And I had just gotten hired at the paper, and our Yankees beat writer left. So suddenly they threw me onto the Yankees beat on a temporary situation. So big pressure.
Someone here is jealous.
Right. Okay. Well, that's another story. So the sports editor sat me down and he explained that sometimes they would hold an entire edition of the newspaper waiting on the Yankees score.
God.
Right. And you have to hit the button as soon as the game ends. And he said for every minute the trucks and the presses are waiting, it costs $15,000.
Oh my God!
And what do you make a year, young man? And like that's deadline, my friends. That's deadline.
We always say, what are the stakes in the story? The stakes are very high.
The stakes are very high, and you can't sit there going, is that really the word I want to use? I'm not sure that has the right shading.
Yes.
No, you're just jamming it out. And
so before you sold your first novel and you were writing it, did you set your own deadlines for yourself?
No. So before I sold my first novel, I did everything wrong.
Oh,
so I am like the poster child for writing discipline, because I would make excuses for myself, like because I had this full-time job and it involved writing, and so I would do the worst thing you can possibly do, which is I would write like really dedicated for a month or two, and then something would happen, and like news would break at work, or something would happen in the family, and like 2 months later I'd be coming back to this going, wait, what the is going on?
Isn't that the worst feeling?
And Aunt Ellie, who the hell is Aunt Ellie? What was I doing with her? And then a beautiful thing happened. So I sold a novel, and I signed a contract. Now I'm a journalist, so deadlines are meaningful to me. I signed this contract in July that said the second book in the contract was due in January, and it was like.
And you hadn't written anything.
I had not written a word. I mean, it was one of those things. It's like we were offered a 2-book contract, and my agent was like, "Oh, and you have a second book, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah,
of course I do.
Absolutely,
I
do. Let me
do.
just, I want to polish it a little bit, but So I did a thing where I'm a nerd, and I did a little spreadsheet, and I figured out, okay, 90,000 words. I have this many days. I have to write 1,000 words a day.
Okay.
And I figured out, like, 1,000 words a day, that was like a newspaper article plus a little padding.
Okay.
And I could do that. And what a difference it makes when it's 1,000 words every day, and you're into the story, and you're like, I always say it maximizes your bottle washing time. I call it my bottle washing time because we had small kids at the time, so I was washing a lot of bottles. And while you're sitting there doing this monotonous thing, your brain is always churning on the story, and you're just staying in touch with it. So even now, I'm 1,000 words a day writer. Like that is my thing. That's my jam. That's my discipline.
There's one of those old writers, Somerset Maugham or somebody, who would write 500 words in the morning when he woke up.
Right.
And no matter where he was in the sentence, at the 500th word,
he would just
put the pen down and says, "Time for a martini. A good day's work done."
Yes.
But listen, you crank out 500 or 1,000 words every single day, you're gonna have a book.
Very quickly. If you do it 1,000 words a day, you're gonna have a draft 3 months later.
That's right.
Yeah. And of course, that Somerset Maugham reminds me of my favorite Somerset Maugham quote, which is, "There are 3 things that make a great novel." Unfortunately, nobody knows what they are.
I think we have that in the book, actually.
Yes.
It's a wonderful quote. So we like to always know, like, the publishing breakthrough side of your story, because we are here to help people get published.
Successfully.
So we've already heard something that you didn't do.
And something you did do right.
Something you did. So in terms of I got my novel published. what was something that really got you to that point that you think you did well?
How much camera film do you have there?
Indefinitely.
Are you sure? Like, I'm gonna break the cloud. Like, talking about everything I did wrong.
Okay.
I did everything wrong. Okay. Absolutely everything, because I did it like a newspaper reporter. Okay. So I figured out, okay, I need to get an agent, and what I did was I said, who do I know?
Yeah.
And who do I know is not the way to go about it. Like, I've become an evangelist for the query process and for actually doing it correctly. Because who do I know is not necessarily going to lead you to the right agent.
Okay.
You know, and it led me to a woman who was very wonderful and very smart. Like, I can say nothing bad about her, except she wasn't truly a mystery thriller agent.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and so when she would walk into those publishing houses and be pitching those editors, they were like, who is this lady? Because she didn't have anybody else in the genre.
Right.
And so that kind of led me to a spot where I wasn't being taken as seriously as if I had that.
Did you sell a novel with her?
I sold a novel with her.
You did. So
did I sell it well, Ariel?
Right.
So that's of course the thing that you start to realize. It's like before you're
Yes.
published, you think, if I could just be published,
Yes.
that's the mountaintop. There it is.
Right.
And then you get in there and you realize it's the base camp.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Right.
and there's this whole nother thing you have to climb.
Right.
So, I mean, it took a number of years for me to undo the mistakes I made early on in my career.
We always tell people to research when you're trying to find an agent, because if you're a mystery writer, you don't want to get a romance agent or a nonfiction agent or et cetera, et
and
cetera.
it is very, very true. The wrong agent is worse than no agent
It
at all.
kind of is in a way.
Right.
And it's very true.
And also, it can be very hard to sell a second book if the first book doesn't do
so
as well
good.
as everybody had hoped.
Sure. And, you know, and I always say, like, you only get one chance to make a first impression in this business. And your debut novel is like this capital that you get to spend once.
Right.
And everybody is going to be looking at the new kid in town. They're going to be looking at Delia Owens, Where the Crawdads Sing, whatever the heck it is, you know, like, and suddenly Reese Witherspoon likes it, and boom!
Right.
By the way, Reese, you would love my books. I like, let's talk. Call me. But yeah, like you have that one time you get to be that debut novelist that everybody's going to be checking out, and man, hit that one time right, and everything else is smooth. But if you don't,
but you're saying you didn't, and yet you have had
Here I am.
prolific career.
You won the 3 awards that nobody ever has won.
That is true.
What are they?
The Seamus, Nero, and Lefty Award, which is a little bit like saying, you know, nobody's ever skied down a ski slope in Florida while making French fries. But like, it's an odd mix of awards, because the Seamus Award is for like hard-boiled PI, and the Lefty Award is for humor, and the Nero Award is like books written in the tradition of Nero Wolfe.
Right.
So they're very, very different.
God.
You know, so, hey,
So that's a cool
amazing.
thing, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a weird triple crown.
Right. Exactly.
But I think also no one does it exactly right. I think
Yeah,
every once in a while
Well,
someone
Stephen
gets
King.
lucky.
No, Stephen King struggled at first. David Baldacci did it right.
Okay.
He sold his first book for $1 million and the movie rights for $2 million.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Well, like I said, sometimes luck and doing it right come together.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
usually it for
Right.
I mean most people who are novelists aren't even making a living
Right.
out of it.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
doing other full-time jobs.
Right.
And it's
And now
more of a
Ariel,
hobby.
making a living as I tap on this faux
Is
wood.
that
That's
thing?
bad.
So I'm going to take a
Right.
little bit of an exception to the fact that
Right.
you didn't do it right because you've done many things right.
Yes,
So
you
at a
have.
certain point you said, this is not the right
Right.
agent for me. And then what happened?
So, oh boy, are you sure you have enough film footage? You know, so really, I had at that point launched a series.
Okay.
And it's very hard to move a series,
It
as
is.
we all know. So we kind of formulated that, all right, you're going to have to do a standalone.
With the new agent.
With the new agent, right?
Okay, got it.
So I have to do a standalone with the new agent. I'm gonna cut to the chase on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote one, threw it away.
Okay.
I wrote another, threw it away.
Wow.
I wrote another, threw it away. I wrote another.
Wait,
No.
wait, I have to interrupt you for one
Yeah.
second. When you say throw it away, had you sent each of these to the agent
Yes.
and the agent
Yes.
said, I cannot
Said
sell them?
this is good.
but
but-
it's not there.
Write another one.
So and then we got to the fourth one, the one I really thought was it. He fired me.
Okay.
Yeah. He said, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, you know, he got to a point where he felt like, I had made a bad storytelling choice, admittedly. And I think the weight of the previous 3 novels, he just felt like he couldn't. So that was, I mean, it was a wonderful and devastating thing to have happen. But it really made me go back, and I actually did the query process right for the first time. And I actually said, okay, really, truly, who do I want? What am I looking for? I talked with a number of agents. I spent 5 months looking for an agent, which by that point, as a guy with my track record, could I have called up somebody and said, will you represent me? They would have said, yes, done. But like, I really wanted to make sure I did it right. And I found a woman named Alice Martell who really worked the book with me in a rigorous way. And sometimes it's like that one person who can force you to dig deeper, right? And say, nope, that wasn't good enough. You know, and like right here, you need to step on the gas pedal for about a paragraph or 2. You know, it's like, I do? What? You want more? You know, okay, there's more there, I'm sure, somewhere, right?
The funny thing is when the person is right, you always go back and afterwards you go, God, how did I not even know that? How did I not see that?
But like, it's so funny. Publishing moves so fast sometimes, and editors don't really have time to edit. And if you, like, so this is where being an ex-newspaper guy is a bit of a curse. If you write clean copy, they kind of go, okay, well, that's good enough. And on it goes. You know, and here was somebody finally in my life saying, this is not good enough. So we went back and forth for about another 5 months, doing, I think, 3 more rounds of edits. And she finally said, okay, we're ready. It's time. Within a week, she had 2 major houses bidding against each other. And that novel, it's called Say Nothing, has since sold in 15 countries. It was a bestseller in Germany.
Nice.
Jawohl! Meine Freundin, jawohl! You know, and it's been a wonderful story. But you know, it only took 7 years to get to that point, right?
So one last question.
Sure.
When you had the agent in between saying this isn't good, this isn't good, this isn't good, how did you deal with that form of negative feedback around your work? Did you go into a hole? Did you say, I'm going to come and kill you during the night?
All of those things. So with actually the first book, I was okay. The second book, I always say that the first time I ever saw my father cry was when his dad died. The first time my kids saw me cry was when that book died. The third one I dealt with in a much more mature way. I snapped at my kids for no reason, stormed out of the house, went to the local grocery store, bought a box of cookies, and ate them in the car with tears streaming down my face. Like that's how you're supposed to deal with your feelings.
That's a wonderful image.
So
that I will
you know,
keep with me.
yes, but it's we don't talk about this enough as writers, but like it's grit. You gotta have the grit.
Yeah, you do.
And that is a sign that I must have done it right.
Whoa,
exactly.
there it is.
Grit.
And there was
God
light.
says there needs to be.
And let there be grit.
And I guess I'm fortunate in that I have no other marketable skills. So it's not like I had anything to fall back on. But like, yeah, man, you're going to get knocked down so much. And you got to get up off the mat and then try a different way to take that thing down. And
because
that's just
so many people would have given up after book 1, let alone that. And this perseverance is the thing that we tell people all the time is the separation.
It is.
And that story, it's a beautiful story.
Well, thank you.
For sharing that.
Filled with pathos, and yet there's triumph at the end.
It's amazing.
There's triumph at the end.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
Well, it's great to be on with the book doctors. I guess, was I the book nurse in this scenario? I don't know.
No, you're like head of pediatrics.
No, that's good. That's a good job.
Head of a whole big thing. Head of the mystery department.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
See you at the bookstore.
Everybody knows. I'm sorry, I already screwed up the quote.
Okay.
Dang it.
It's
Cut that
okay.
part. All right.
Redo.
There are